Hello, my friends. Today we'll start with this. The US really does believe that Putin will stop within the 50 days Trump has given him. Listen to the official statement from the White House.
50 days, as the president clearly laid out, if there is not a ceasefire agreement or a peace deal within that time frame, if Russia refuses to legitimately agree to a ceasefire, then they will face very steep tariffs and they will also face secondary sanctions. So countries that are purchasing oil from Russia will be sanctioned as well, and of course that will do deep damage to Russia's economy. And I would just add that the president wants this war to end with a diplomatic solution. He's been pushing for it. This administration has spent many hours and a lot of time trying to solve this war very far.
But the real question is why wait? If Russia is already making it clear they won't stop and will push forward until they reach their goal. Here is a fresh comment from Medvedev, for example. The American is back on his favorite political swings. I'm satisfied with my conversation with Putin. I'm disappointed with my conversation with Putin. We won't supply new weapons to Ukraine. We'll supply a lot of weapons to Ukraine for defense. How should we react to this? The same way we always have. The same way our soldiers do. The same way the commander in chief does. We don't. We keep going after the goals of the special military operation, taking back our land, working toward victory. But what's interesting is that even today, some of Russia's partners are openly saying they'll stop buying Russian oil if US sanctions kick in. For example, India's Minister of Energy recently made a clear statement.
In February 2022, when the military conflict between Russia and the Ukraine commenced, we were buying, if I remember, 0.2% of our overall crude from the Russian Federation. Today, yes, you are absolutely right. It has gone up considerably. But equally, during this period, India has diversified the sources of supply, and we have gone, I think, from about 27 countries that we used to buy from to about 40 countries now. But more than that, if you go into should you buy from a source one or should you buy from a source two, we have been clear from the day go that we will buy from wherever we have to. Because the Prime Minister's commitment is, in the final analysis, to his consumer, to the Indian consumer.
So no one's really going to pressure Russia into ending the war. Many of their partners will just buy oil elsewhere, but that actually has some big upsides. If enough countries stop buying Russian oil, it seriously cut the money funding the war. Still, it's important to remember Russia will likely ramp up its use of the shadow fleet and continue trading under the radar. We'll soon find out how things develop. Meanwhile, Medvedev is already calling for preemptive strikes on NATO countries. The deputy head of Russia's Security Council claims the West sees Russia as a historical anomaly and simply can't accept its existence. He says Russia is a threat to their civilization superiority and that Russia shouldn't wait for attacks from NATO, it should strike first. All in all, it's unlikely that Trump's ultimatum will actually make Russia stop. Now let's move on to the situation along the front line, and there are major problems. Let's start with the Pokrovsk direction. Here, Russian forces have managed to secure positions near the Markovsky Pond and the outskirts of Krasny Liman. There are there are growing fears that if Russia pushes hard against the Ukrainian resistance, especially from the city of Rodinsk, they could start advancing toward the northern part of Myrnograd. If that happens, it would effectively lead to the encirclement of both Myrnograd and Novoekonomichne. And if those towns fall, Russia would gain a powerful foothold for future offensive operations. Also, from the current edge of the front to the main highway leading to Pokrovsk, the one shown today in many Telegram channels being covered with camouflage nets, there is only 4.5 kilometers left. That makes the situation here absolutely critical. At the same time, Russian forces are actively assaulting Novoekonomichne. The fighting over the town is extremely intense. Ukrainian forces are doing everything they can to hold the line, but the situation remains very difficult. The Russians are also attacking Myrolюбівка, Lysivka, Chunishine, pushing toward Pokrovsk, Udachne, and Nyakotlane. So far, there have been no confirmed advances over the past 24 hours, but Russian activity remains extremely high and the front is hanging by a thread. In the Novopavlivka direction, Russian troops are storming Muravka and Oleksiivka, pushing near Pidubne and launching attacks on Myrne and Voskresenka. Importantly, this time it's not the Russians. Ukrainian forces have started posting videos showing Ukrainian flags raised in the villages of Voskresenka and Yalta. This suggests the territory is being brought back under Ukrainian control following the destruction of Russian forces there. Most likely, Ukrainian units entered the area, planted the flags, and didn't stay in Yalta to hold it. As for Voskresenka, it's now clear that the village is under Ukrainian control, hence the flag. We'll keep watching to see how the situation develops next. In the direction of Velika Novosilka, Russian forces are attacking Vilny Pole and trying to break through near Zelene Pole. However, the situation here remains unchanged for now and the fighting continues. In the Gulay-Pole direction, Russian forces are not launching any new assaults, and part of the village of Malinivka remains under the control of Ukrainian forces, just as before. In the Zaporizhia direction, despite statements from the Russian Ministry of Defense claiming they have captured the village of Kamensk, the Ukrainian side hasn't confirmed this information. So far, there are no reports of new battles in this area. However, shelling continues along the entire frontline zone. In the Kherson direction, there have been no reports of new Russian attacks today, only ongoing shelling. Over the past 24 hours, the front line hasn't changed. Russian forces have also failed to improve their positions on the islands. Now let's move to the Kostantinivka direction. Here, Russian forces are storming Pretechene and pushing toward Bilahora. Heavy fighting is ongoing in Щербинівка, Yablunivka, Rusin Yar, and Poltavka. The Russian Minister of Defense has also claimed that Popiev Yar is now under their control, but the Ukrainian side hasn't confirmed this information, so for now we are waiting for clarification. In the Siversk direction, Russian troops are assaulting Serebryanka and trying to break through near Grigorivka and Vyemka. There is also a very high level of FPV drone activity in this area. However, the front line hasn't changed over the past 24 hours. In the Liman direction. The intensity remains high, over 20 assaults in the past 24 hours. Russian forces are attacking Zarechne, Yampolivka, Kolodezi, Zelena Dolina, and trying to break through near Karpivka and Novy Mir. However, they've made no new gains. Ukrainian forces are successfully holding the line here and even launching counterattacks, which have managed to push Russian troops back from some positions. As a result, Russia's momentum has stalled and the front line remains unchanged for now. In the Borova direction, Russian troops are assaulting Boguslavka and Novoyegorivka and pushing near Raigorodka. However, activity here is still relatively low, and so far all attacks have been successfully repelled. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian forces are attempting to break through near Tishinkivka and Petropavlivka, but without success. The situation has remained unchanged over the past 24 hours. In the Dvorichna direction, Russian troops are pushing forward around the village of Stroyevka and trying to expand the territory they control along the border. They've effectively created a buffer zone. However, they've been unable to advance further as Ukrainian forces continue to repel all attacks. In the Veliki Burluk direction, Russian advances have come to a halt and they are no longer conducting new assaults. For now, the situation has stabilized. The only uncertainty remains around the village of Dikhtярne, as Russian sources claim they have captured it. But there has been no confirmation from the Ukrainian side, so we are waiting more information. In the Kharkiv direction, Russian forces are trying to expand their control around the village of Zelene and are assaulting Hoptivka. However, they have made no progress and the front line hasn't changed over the past 24 hours. In Vovchansk, fighting continues. Russian troops are even attempting to cross the river into the southern part of the city, but Ukrainian forces are repelling them, keeping the front line stable. In the Sumy direction, Russian forces are pushing near Kostantinivka, Andriivka, Yablonivka, and along the border. However, the advances have been halted, Ukrainian counterattacks have successfully stopped and even pushed Russian troops back. As a result, Russia has seen no further gains and the front line remains unchanged. Meanwhile, amid escalating tensions with Russia, Germany and the United Kingdom have signed a historic agreement. A historic agreement. Starmer and Merz signed treaty of friendship between the UK and Germany. They signed a 27-page document that expands cooperation in defense, security, the economy, and migration policy, according to Germany's foreign ministry. The treaty, signed by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, is a direct response to Russia's growing aggression. It includes a commitment to assist each other in the event of an external attack. This is the first such bilateral treaty between the two major European powers since World War II. At the same time, Ukraine is launching a new program called Test in Ukraine. Foreign manufacturers will be allowed to test cutting-edge weapons directly on the battlefield. Companies will be able to send in equipment for combat testing, provide remote training, and receive frontline feedback from Ukrainian troops. The priority areas include air defense systems, drone interception technologies, countermeasures against glide bombs, naval drones, electronic warfare, and smart artillery. So, While Ukraine may serve as a testing ground, this could significantly boost the availability of advanced weapons, especially air defense. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.